name is Mark, and we're doing another episode of this interesting lick series, I guess. We're going to do another Greg Koch lick. I know that I've done another Greg Koch lick before, and I maybe have been the last one I did. Maybe it was a Greg Koch lick as well. But anyways, Greg is an amazing player, and of course he's got some awesome licks under his belt. Not only like the more countryside, which is the one we're going to look at today, which is this one, by the way, which goes on something like this. I'll explain it later. Something like that. But like I mentioned before, I've done some other episodes about Greg Koch. He has some interesting licks. Like there was another episode I did where I transcribed this Greg Koch lick that almost sounded like a spread triad blues lick. It was pretty interesting, bluesy jazz lick. Go check that video out. And I think I have some other Greg Koch licks or other Greg Koch related videos. But even if I don't, well, I think you can expect more because I have this like note on my note app folder thingy, and there's a bunch of Greg Koch licks that I'm like, okay, I should probably figure that out. But yeah, about this lick, we're basically focusing on this lick. I'll explain how it basically works, and then I'll show you a lick that I made up that is inspired by that one, and show you how you can make your own licks based on this one. Again, this sort of country vocabulary is not really something new, and even though Greg has some very interesting spicy licks, and sometimes even some outside sounding licks, it's not like this lick is super outside, but it adds some interesting things that I think you might be interested in. So yeah, let's just get to that lick. But before I get to it, I just want to say, if you can, please subscribe to my channel and turn on all the notifications. As you're probably aware, YouTube acts a little bit weird. Even if you subscribe to a channel, those channels' videos may really not show up in your subscription box. And even if you ring the little notification bell thingy below, you still really will not be notified of that channel's content. So if you want to sit onto my videos, not only do I suggest subscribing and turning on all the notifications, but also follow me on social media. Not only do I post some exclusive stuff there, like improvised solos and then record backing tracks, and generally wherever I'm up to at the moment, but I always post about my videos. Links for usual suspects will be below, but in general at Koch Guitar. And since you're down there, please consider leaving a like and share this video on social media. I highly appreciate it. But getting back to the video itself, again, for some of you who watch my videos, you may think this video seems a little bit rushed, and in a way it is, but hey, it's not really like there's much context to give to this situation. So yeah, I'll play you the lick again slowly so that you can figure it out, and then I'll explain it. Greg may have played this somewhere else before, but I found this lick on the first episode of the second season of the Ken and Greg show that's on the Reverend Guitar's YouTube channel. And this video comes about when Greg is explaining like the difference between the pickups on his signature guitar and on some of the other Reverend models. And he's just playing in E, I think. Sort of like an E7 sort of a thing. But then he does this move where he goes for the 4 chord, A. So even though we could analyze this lick as it being a lick in E, I think it makes more sense to analyze it over A because, well, it's played over the 4 chord. But in a way you could also play it over an E chord. You just need to be maybe a little bit careful because it's a spicy lick, especially in the context of E. Like for instance, there's a point where you have like this G, which is like the minor third or maybe the sharp 9 in this case. And that G may clash a little bit with the G sharp, so yeah, just maybe be careful of it, but hey, you can try this sort of a thing and try to apply it in any situation you think it sounds good. If it sounds good, you can do it. Just remember that. If we're in A, the lick starts out with an open E string, and then a hammer on to B, to the 7th fret of the 6th string, and then another hammer on to the 9th fret of the 6th string. So it's like, if we're in A, we're playing the 5th, we're playing the 9th, and the 3rd. And then we hybrid pick this open D. Most of you guys are probably familiar with this sort of a thing, but if you aren't, using open strings is very much a part of that country sound, and trying to get the percussive nature of it, like using those hammer-ons and maybe using a compressor. I don't think Greg was using a compressor in that episode, but maybe he was. But anyway, so yeah, hybrid picking that D note. So yeah, again we're playing over like an A7 chord, an A major with the dominant 7th. And we're using all of these extensions, like the 9th and the 4th, playing that over our A dominant 7th chord. We're adding those extensions, we're just making the chord a little bit fancier. It's not like you need to, but that's what Greg is doing. And then we do something similar on the next string, where we hammer on from E on the 7th fret of the 5th string to the 9th fret, and then we hybrid pick the 3rd string open. So here again we're playing E, so it's the 5th, and in the 9th fret right here we have an F sharp, which is the 6th of A, and then we're playing a G, which is the dominant 7th of A. So in this case, when playing this like A dominant 7th, we're playing like an A7 routine. Again, we're just making our original chord a little bit fancier than what it already was. So yeah, until now we have... And here's where it gets a little bit fancy, because Greg could have just played... And with this it would be like playing the major 7 of A, that G sharp, resolving to an A, then playing an open B, which would be the 9th. So in this case it would be a little bit more fancy, because we're playing over an A7 chord, and he's playing that major 7. We'd get this weird chord, this dominant 7th and that major 7 kind of clash a little bit, but here's how Greg manages it. I'm not sure if it was a mistake on his part or if it was thought out. I would bet on it being thought out, but again, with these sorts of things, these crazy players sometimes can get off like playing mistakes with the craziest shit. So what does he do exactly? Well, he definitely plays this, but instead of just playing that G sharp and playing the A, he sort of wiggle bends that G sharp to an A and then plays the actual A. So like, if I play it a little bit slower, it's something like... So again, it's an interesting flavor, because we're playing something like... And that lick sounds fine as it is, but by adding that little wiggle bend in there, it sort of adds this little textural flavor that, if you play it really fast, you may not necessarily notice it, especially if you're a non-musician or a non-guitar player. But in the context of playing a lick like this, not only is it a little bit different, and that can be amusing, but it also has some different vocabulary to your sort of playing that, again, you may think, well, that's cool and all, but I don't really care. Well, maybe this is not the video for you. But in this sort of situation, especially because like this G sharp would clash against our regular G, sure, it still crashes while we do that wiggle bend, but it doesn't clash as much as doing... And again, it's these sorts of things that I think make Greg Koch not just your standard country player. Not like there's anything wrong with being a standard country player at all. If you look at a guy like Brad Paisley, he plays great, like he's a crazy player. But it's not like you listen to his playing and you're like, well, that's not really something weird, or that's something like completely different than what I'm used to hearing. He usually plays the right stuff, and that's a really important thing, especially for a player who's as recognized as he is. In the session world, people don't usually care for you being fancy, they want you to play the correct sounding stuff. So yeah, that adds to his playing quite a lot. But in the case of Greg, sure, like, he could just play a standard lick and not really worry too much about those flashy things. But it's those sorts of things that I think make these sorts of licks and these sorts of players, well, not just your average run-of-the-mill Joe player. But getting back to the lick, until now we have something like... And this last part we do a little slide from the 5th fret to the 6th fret, and then we hybrid pick the A on the top string. And in this case we're not really adding too much to our original sound, because we're playing the 3rd of A and we're playing an A. So we do this like minor 3rd to major 3rd, or sharp 9 to like actual 3rd, that sort of country bluesy thing. But again, that's not really like it adds that much to the chord. We're playing like our E7 sharp 9, just your standard sort of bluesy country stuff. And then he does some sort of like pedal steel, which I didn't really figure out completely, because even though those sound great, I think those could be a matter for another video. So yeah, like, that's cool, but we'll get to it another time. So until now, this is our basic lick. And again, this is a pretty cool lick that you can use over an A chord, especially like in the context of the blues and a country vamp sort of that sort of thing, a working man blues sort of a thing. And you can use it over E as well, but again, remember what I said before, depending on how you play it, it may or may not be the best sounding lick for that situation, but if you think it sounds good, you can do it. And like I mentioned before, we can grab some of the concepts used on this lick and make our own licks. Like for instance, we start out by using a lot of open strings. Well, maybe we can do that as well if we're playing over like an E chord, which basically is taking the same sort of concept that Greg used before. I just tried to make it as less similar as possible. Like, instead of using like strings that are close by when hybrid picking, I tried to use some like more open strings. And then instead of trying to do like that micro bend thingy, I tried to do it more like in a resolving way. Sort of in a Marty Friedman way, I guess. So yeah, call this a Marty Friedman country shred like. But yeah, basically what I did, if I played a little bit more slowly, I guess, I started by playing like an E, it's ninth, and then it's third. Then I hybrid pick the high E, so like. Then I do the same thing on the A string, but this time I hybrid pick the B string. And then I did something similar on the D string, but instead of going 0 to 4, I did 0 to 3, because I thought, okay, if I just do, it's not like it sounds bad, but it doesn't really sound that interesting to me, so maybe adding that flat 9 in there, it almost adds some like Phrygian stuff in there, like. And I really like that sort of sound, so yeah, I decided to go for the flat 9, but you can go for the regular 9 if you want to. And then I hybrid pick the G string, and then I hammer on to the G sharp, going for that like, again, that sort of bluesy country thing that we talked about before, of going sharp 9 to major 3rd. Then I just descend like pentatonic wise. And that results with this sort of like micro band thing. It's sort of a Marty Friedman sort of band technique to do, like. And I think it would sound more twangy if I did it here, but doing like this sort of micro band and really hit that E on this first fret is a little bit of a stretch. It's doable, but if you're using heavier strings than I am, I'm using 9.5s on this bad boy. Most of you will probably be using 10s, so it's probably a little bit hard for you to do. But you can do it down here like I did in the beginning of the playing part of the lick. So yeah, playing the lick all together, first a little bit slower and then a little bit faster, we have something like. A little bit poorly played, of course, but that's already our regular run of the mill. But I think you probably get what I mean, right? Again, if I try to analyze what this lick is all about, like I mentioned before, we're playing it over an E chord, so we're playing all notes of the E chord. All of the other notes are just extensions, like in this case, it's the 9th, so we're playing like a fancy E. And then we're doing this. Again, we're playing the 4th of E, 5th of E, and then the 6th of E. So it's just us playing a fancy chord, like. And then after it, sure, we're adding that flat 9 in there, which adds a little bit of tension. But it ends up being resolved. Works perfectly in a theoretical sense and in a more practical sense, of course. And again, like I mentioned before, this sort of country vocabulary and this style of playing, it's not really something that's for everybody. If you're like one of those really deep jazz cats that are like, oh, we don't do none of that sort of eccentric stuff, we just try to play like what's fits in properly, like, sure, maybe this isn't a video for you, and I'm not sure why you clicked it otherwise, or why you stayed this far. But if you think about it, I think I'm repeating myself, but hey, at this point, it's not like nobody cares. It's the same sort of a thing I mentioned before. When you're playing anything it is, if you just play the right notes, you'll probably do exactly the job that you were asked to play. But if you try to add some slight eccentric stuff, again, doesn't really need to be all crazy stuff, but if you try to add some things here and there, like, not only does it become a little bit different, but it also becomes a little bit more memorable. Like, I don't know, think of all the crazy players we all like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Marty Friedman, Greg Koch as well. They all have their particular sounds, and they all do some crazy stuff that it's not like they were the ones to figure it out most of the time, but it's stuff that we're like, oh, I listened to that, and that's definitely Greg Koch, or that's definitely Steve Vai, or definitely Joe Satriani, or of course Marty Friedman, and all of those crazy players. So again, even if you're not a country guy, I think you can learn a little bit from this sort of playing vocabulary thing. And for some reason you're not really aware of who Greg Koch is, like the videos he does for Wildwood, or the videos he does for the Reverend channel, or something like it, please go check him out. He's an amazing player. He actually has some pretty good songs, like, I mean, sure, he sings alright and he does the bluesy stuff, but when it comes to like guitar composing stuff, like, it's not just like, okay, let's go for a blues for like 15 million bars and let me just play over it. He has some cool licks, like his song Rex Charmer I think is really cool. Again, it was pretty badly played. I haven't really played this song for a while, and it's not that easy to play, but it really is an interesting song, and it has some crazy stuff in there, and Greg is an amazing player, like I mentioned before. Got slightly distracted in there. But yeah, go check out Greg Koch if you haven't already. If you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment if you think that I missed anything or there was something I should have explained better or something like it. If you want more videos like this or there's any videos that you think I should do, leave them in the comment section below. I'll try to do them as soon as I can if I think they're alright. And yeah, thank you so very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications. Like I mentioned before, if you can follow me on social media, not only I play some exclusive stuff there, like I do some exclusive stuff on social media, but I also post there about my videos, like you may not get notified of this video, and it will probably not really get recommended to you, like in your recommended section or in your feed, because like YouTube's algorithm really prefers to share videos that will leave you watching more videos on the platform. And let's be honest, guitar lessons most of the times aren't really those sorts of videos. So yeah, if you really want to watch my videos or get them in your subscription box, you really should subscribe and turn on all the notifications. But yeah, because I don't really want to bore to death the ones of you who stayed this far, let's just end it with this. Cheers!